I don't think it's a black race thing, because I see this in every race where like there are people that like put limits on their children because they can't see the vision. Is it more prevalent in our community, in the Black American part of the diaspora? Probably, because we comfortable.
Which is why it's definitely a sweeping generalization. I attribute it more to a race thing.
What's up? Welcome to the Hube Knows Best Pod. I appreciate your support, and in return, I hope I provide you with something worthwhile, whether it be new knowledge or putting a smile on your face. If not, hopefully you share this with someone that it does benefit, and I got you next time. Again, thanks for joining today, and let's get this thing going.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Hube Knows Best Pod, where I'm gonna give you the truth, the whole truth, as best I can. So help me God. The gate's open now. So today I got a special guest here, Alexis Hall. She is a anesthesiologist here in the Chicago area, originally from Chicago. So Alexis, let everybody know who you are, where you're from, and just introduce yourself to the
I think you
audience.
just did that. But I'm Alexis. My last name is Hall. I am born and raised in Chicago. Took a little time away from Chicago, moved away, came back for med school, and I've been here since. Now in residency as an anesthesiologist.
So Alexis, I think today we're going to talk about Black family dynamics, and I think I wanted to bring you on, one, because you're from the Chicago area, but you're also half West Indian, half Jamaican, and I think that's an interesting dynamic to have when being raised as a Black person in the United States. I think the first thing is just give us a little bit of background about your parents.
So my mom is African American. She was born and raised in Chicago, but her family has come to Chicago by way of Mississippi and Memphis, like every other, or I shouldn't say every other, but most Black people in Chicago. We come from the South, from the Great Migration, and then my father is 100% Jamaican, and he was born there, and when he was a kid, he moved to Chicago, and he's been raised here and been here ever since.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's always interesting, like, my dad's from East Mississippi, Southeast Mississippi, my mom's from Southwest Georgia, so, like, I feel like I just got a bunch of Southern upbringing regardless of it, and like what comes with being a Southern Black person. So I'm just interested to know, how do you feel like you were getting a lot of like American culture and Jamaican culture, or you just felt like you had, like, growing up, did you realize the difference?
That's a very loaded question, and it's very difficult for me to answer. But I would say, as a kid, especially younger, I didn't know what was like American versus Jamaican household or Caribbean households versus other things. Like, it was just my household and my family. I spent a lot more time with my father's side than I did my mom's side. So I had a lot of Caribbean, I would say, influence in my upbringing. My mom, her family was very much so like from the South. Like, you speak when spoken to, you address everybody as ma'am, sir, very much so stay in a child's place. And I would say with my father's family, it was definitely stay in a child's place, but it was just different. We were very communal, nothing was censored, and it was very much so like we was all kind of like raised and hung out in a big house type of environment. And we got up, we ate, we cooked, we did whatever with great grandma or with my grandmother. When it was time to take a nap, it's just who bed was this. It was just a lot more different. It was very different from, I would say, the day-to-day life I experienced with my mom's family.
Okay. I think that's a good segue into like my first question for you, like that we talked about, is like, how do you feel like extended family relationships play a role in like Black family dynamics?
Oh, again, loaded question. I'm very biased, so I'll start off saying this. My mom has multiple sclerosis. My mom has been sick since 1996, 7, or 8. I can't remember. It's been a long time. So I had a lot of, as she was going through her relapses and flares of her disease, I had a lot of influence from my aunts. My mom has one sister that I grew up with. She was very present, but my dad's aunts, which are my great aunts, my dad has no sisters. He has 2 brothers, but either their wives or my great aunts had a lot of influence in like getting me and my sister hair done, taking us to doctor's appointments. My grandma did a lot, like have braces again now, but the first time I had braces, like my grandma took me to every orthodontist appointment. So I had a lot of extended family influence, probably more than most.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like I know for me growing up, most of my mom's maternal side, like siblings, they were in Massachusetts. None of my dad's family was in Georgia. Like I don't know, like I think the last time I saw anybody like in person, that's from my dad's side of the family, was I was like 7 years old. So I didn't really have that influence from my dad's side of the family, except for when I was a little kid and we would go visit. But like with my mom's side, I spent a lot of time with my aunt Bob or Barbara, and my uncle Ricky, because they were the 2 siblings that were still present in our hometown when I wasn't with my godparents. And so like a lot of my influence as far as like my Uncle Ricky, when I was a kid, I found my love for steak. And then I asked for more steak, but it was like pork loin. And so he became the person who was like, you don't ask for food that you know you're not going to eat. Like, that was an influence from him. Like, my Aunt Bob, she was very, as I would call it, mean. Like, but I love my Aunt Bob to death. Like, later on in our relationship, she was a big proponent and a big person that like pushed me to do well in college. I didn't have that big influence of like, even though like my parents have like siblings and large families, I didn't have a lot of that influence growing up because my mom was a loner, or she's an introvert, so she spent a lot of time to herself. And most of my interaction with my family members came with like them babysitting me, and I didn't get like a lot of it until like I was a teenager. But that being said, we both have kids. Like I have a 2-year-old, you have your son, he's 5. How do you want, or how do you foresee, like, or even presently, how important is that extended family influence with your son?
Extended family influence, I don't think it has much bearings. Like, I want my child to be very family oriented and definitely have a relationship with both sides of his family, as deep as it can go. But in terms of the day-to-day upbringing of my extended family, or his extended family, I should say, influence on his upbringing, like, I mean, I think we can all say, and I'm not pointing anyone out in particular, but we all have family members who do things or engage in things that we don't necessarily care for. Mm-hmm. We have family members that operate or raise their kids in a certain way that's like, I wouldn't do that with me and mine. So I think all those factors play a role in how much I care about my extended family influence in raising my child. It's just, I want him to be raised with love, with education, and with the influence and knowing that family is important and family first, right behind God.
Okay. Now, you know, you mentioned this, like standing in the child's place, right? And like with you raising a young man, I'm raising a young man. Like, what pieces of like your upbringing and like how you were raised are you also instilling in your son?
That's tough, because I actually think that I do a lot of things different than the way I was raised. But again, I think a lot of that goes back to I had so many helping hands and raised me because my mom was sick that I don't have a lot of helping hands in raising Austin. Like, I'm very, probably helicopter mom, but I'm very much so like, I don't need too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to the upbringing of my child. So in terms of like that influence, that's a tough question. I don't really know how much of extended family influence or either my family upbringing that I instill day to day in the upbringing of Austin. Probably at the forefront will be education. My household is very big on, you say you bored, go read a book. You don't have anything to do, go read a book or go to sleep. I feel that I actually had a lot of say-so, which is probably not like most black families. I had a lot of say-so in what I wanted to eat and what I wouldn't eat. And I think that that has definitely carried over to me raising my child. I'm very much so like, I want him to be healthy. I want him to be fed. So I sometimes go the extra mile to feed him and give him the things that I know he would eat because he's a very picky eater. What else? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always say is like our parents raised us to the best of their ability with the tools that they had, right? And I think it's incumbent upon us to like take the good from what our parents taught us and take the and discard the bad, right? Like, I think this was healthy, I don't think this was healthy, right? And so like with my parents were very strict. My dad was extremely strict. It was do as I say, no matter what, even if like it don't really make sense. Like, I always talk about this with my friends about like when I was like 10 years old, my dad had my stepmom go get Taco Bell. And I don't eat Taco Bell. I ain't never ate Taco Bell. And my dad was insistent that I did. And so I wouldn't eat the food. And at that point, he let me go to bed hungry. And I was like, I'll never go to bed hungry again. But I was like, I would never do that to my child. Like with Ymir, I'm very like stuck on like, I just want him to eat when he gets home from daycare. Now, on the weekend, I might try to test something out to see if he'll eat it for like lunch. But like for the most part, I know he eats chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, French fries. So if that's what he gonna eat, that's what I'm gonna give him. And so,
sorry, it just came to me.
What?
Answers to your question.
Oh, I mean, go ahead.
So things that my parents instilled in me that I instill in my child. I forgot. My mom was very big on bath time, and on bath time was after we got out the tub. Early on, she would lotion us down, and then as we got older, she would have us lotion ourselves down. But she would be very big on always exposing early on like body parts. Like, for as long as I can remember, I knew a vagina was a vagina or a penis was a penis. And it wasn't because she was hypersexual, wanted us to be sexual. It was that she was very big on, this is your private part and nobody's supposed to touch your private part. She would say the name, not private part. And let me know if someone touched your private part or you didn't like the way that felt. And she was like, nobody's supposed to touch you, not mommy, not even daddy, and let me know. Not that she thought my father would do anything, but she was very big on those, on that. And I find myself like I do that with Austin. And when he was like a lot younger and come home from the daycare, I'm like looking for bruises, looking for to see what's going on. And that also led into segue like my mom is sick now, so I don't have much of a social emotional relationship with her, but my father has always created a space where I can come talk to my dad about anything. And I'm trying to say my dad because I know a lot of people the word daddy, but I say my daddy. My dad, me and him are like best buds, so it wasn't always like that, but my father always created a space where I could come to him and talk to him about anything and tell him everything. I know that there was times where it's like, I don't want to tell my dad this, or, this may be too much for him, like his baby girl. But if it came down to it, or whenever I needed to, I always would be able to talk to him. And I had a really great relationship like that with my dad's mom, my grandma. We had like the best relationship. So things that over time, as my mom was sick, that I couldn't go talk to her about. Mm-hmm. I mean, talk to my mom about. I can go talk to my grandma about, and get a woman's perspective. And so that's very important to me, that I have that relationship with Austin, and that I hope that he continues to have that relationship with his father, like where he can come talk to his parents about any and everything. And I understand, like, in due time, as he become a teenager or adult, there's going to be certain things he don't want to share. But when it counts, or when it matters, that he knows, like, I can't talk to mom, or I got to handle this by myself, or I can't go to dad out of fear, or because we won't accept certain things. I just want him to always know that his parents at home is a safe space. So my parents instilled that in me, and that's probably like one of the biggest things I want to instill in him, or that I continue to instill in him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's commendable on your parents. I don't feel like I had that like, me and my mom were close, but I don't ever feel like I had that relationship with my parents where I felt like they could. And I do want that when I want you to feel like, hey, if I'm going through something, and if I'm dealing with something, I can go talk to my dad, and not be judged, because I know that's what I wanted, right? But also, like, I think a lot of times I feel like a lot of parents want to be too close to their kids. They want to be like their kid's best friend. And I don't want my son to ever think I'm his best friend. Like, I want him to understand that I'm his dad. When he becomes an adult or whatever, cool, we can be friends when you're an adult and you got your own shit going on. But, like, as long as you live in my house, there's a dynamic here. And I think that's something that I did appreciate. Like, I understood the dynamic between me and my parents. It was like, you're still my parent. Like, I can tell you certain stuff. I can have a voice, but, like, at the end of the day, this ain't my house. And whatever you say goes in this house, right? And when I want something to change, I'm gonna have to leave this house. And that's why I went far away from school, like, so I can have my own rules.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My mama was definitely the queen of, I ain't one of your little best friends. And, my dad, I was daddy's girl, I could get away with a lot more. But with my mama, like, she wasn't for none. So it was none of that, like, joking, he, none of that. But I knew that then, and I know now, that they are still safe places that I can go to if it really mattered.
Yeah.
But growing up, I didn't necessarily always feel that way. But I think when you were a kid and you going through stuff, like, your parents are the worst people, they're your enemies, or you just like, why can't they let me do that? But as you get older, you appreciate it. I appreciate when my mom was like, you not spending the night at everybody's house. I appreciate that my dad rolled up on the block and was checking up on me, because I see the difference between me and some of the people I grew up with who didn't have that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it makes a difference.
I think whether your parents are in the house, like, I know we both come from homes where our parents weren't necessarily together the entire time. But, like, I think having that presence, like, I knew that my dad would pull up. Like, my mom let my dad in the house when I was 10 years old to give me a whooping. Like, so I knew this wasn't a safe space. Like, this man could get in this house and get to me if he needed to. But I always, like, I used to be very, like, upset that my mom wouldn't let me do stuff with my friends in high school. And then I see where that led to with my friends in high school. Like, they had all this freedom to do it, all these things. I think we talked about this the other week, like, peaking in high school. Like, the people that were so cool in high school got to do everything, and that was it for them, right? And, like, I had, my mom and my dad knew I had plenty of time to, like, go outside and be an adult and party and all that stuff. But, like, right now you need to focus. This is the important time to, like, set your foundation. And, like, I always say, like, with Ymir, like, that's gonna be a thing. Like, hey, bro, you don't have to be cool. Like, being cool, like, that's cool. Like, be cool, like have your own personality, make friends, but like worried about being the most popular, most outside person in high school, we not doing that. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't want my son to be no lame.
yeah, definitely not.
But like, my son, if he is popular, he popular. If he ain't, he not.
Yeah.
But one thing I don't want nobody to say is my son a dummy, or he's stupid, or he don't know. I just want balance for my child.
Yeah.
So, I don't want him to be in a place where it's like he don't have friends, he don't interact, and he's like what I see and sometimes see with a lot of kids, like these gamer kids who just like is in the house focused on playing a game. But I also don't want him to go out his way to be somebody he isn't, to gain popularity votes or likes on Instagram or whatever the social media platform will be when he gets to high school.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that's something about like teaching your kid. Like, my parents were very big on telling me who I was, like that I was smart, that I had a lot going for myself, and I had a lot of people pouring into me, telling me that in my family, right? Like, I think the biggest piece, like where I see people where they don't excel, is that they don't have that family that's telling them like that they're going to do something special, that they're holding them accountable, and like on their ass about like, hey, yeah, you want to do that, but you're not doing this. Like, my family was like always pouring into me, but they was also on my head if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And that's what I want for my sons. Like, I understood like at a young age, like I'm never gonna live in this city again when I graduate high school. Like, I knew that at a very young age. Like, I'm gone. So what people think about me in this city, as far as like right now, is a moment in time. And like, I have so much more time in my life to like create opinions and create whoever I want to be and like figure out who that is. But like, I'm not gonna consume myself with people thinking I'm lame because I'm in the house making sure I get to go to college, like, or because I ain't fighting every time somebody piss me off. Like,
I commend you for not giving a fuck. Like, I commend you for having that mental maturity at that age, because that definitely wasn't me. And I feel like to a certain extent that's still not me now. Like, do I care to be popular and have a bunch of friends? No. Do I care to have the best car or the best purse? Kinda, but I just ain't got it right now. But I do care and put a lot of stock in what people not say about me, but how people view me. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if that was a result of upbringing or not, because I received a lot of tough love from my mom. And I received a lot of love from my dad. But in my mind, I'm like, that's my dad. Like, he's supposed to say that. So I feel like in certain aspects, I did unconsciously look for validation and approval from other people. And I really hope that trait about me does not rub off on my child. Mm. I notice a lot, like, my son, he just started basketball. And, like, a couple weekends ago, he made the buzzer, what is it, buzzer beater? That's what it's called? Mm. Buzzer beater. And the whole gym, like, stood up and was like, yeah. And he was, like, excited, and I caught it on camera. We went to breakfast after basketball practice, and then he's like, can you play it again? And so it's just like, I'm like, okay, Austin, like, okay, like, you'll watch yourself. And then the following weekend, he made another shot, but it wasn't buzzer beater, but it was a good shot, and people cheered him on. And he like, Mom, which one did you like better, the first week or the second week? And so I started to see, or yesterday night we playing a video game, and I don't know how to play video games. So he's beating me. He keeps winning. And he's like, yeah, I keep winning. I'm never going to lose. And I just see how he kind of, these may be little things now, but I see how he feeds off of, like, winning, and that he's at the top or doing great. And I notice, like, when we're reading, he's reading now, but he may not always get the word right, or he forgets. He wants to give up and feels very defeated when he doesn't get stuff on the first try. So it's like I see myself in him, like he's a quick learner, and he does things with minimal instruction. He gets it, but he doesn't really know how to
deal with failure.
Deal with he didn't do well. Because also basketball practice yesterday, they were like two going each way, like trying to shoot the ball, just a drill practice, and the other player at the other end got it, and Austin didn't get his, and they like jumped for her, and I seen like the look of sadness in his face. Or when they were playing a scrimmage game, and it was his time to get off the court, and he had to get off the court, he just was like sad, and he's like, well, I don't have a time to shine. So just trying to instill like that maybe I'm going on a tangent and it's not really the approval of others, but like it's okay to not be at either spectrum, but find that healthy balance in the middle.
The competitor in me wants to say no to that, right? Like, I think there is finding the plus in losing or not succeeding and expecting to win. Like, you should always have the expectation to perform.
Yes, I want him to have the expectation to perform.
Right.
But I want him to be okay if
when
he
you don't. Right. And
him to be like, I didn't do well or I didn't win, and constructive criticism or feedback, and accept it and apply it for what if it's the next game, the next science project, whatever you have it. But I'm definitely going to teach my son. Like, I'm very competitive, but I will only compete in stuff that I know I'm good at. Just like when we were placing bets, I'm like, baby, you don't place a bet that you know you can't win.
Facts.
And for me, like, I'm definitely going to instill in my child, like, second place is just first loser. So
if you're not first, you last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think having a high achiever, like, I think you're a high achiever. I don't
think so.
You're a high achiever. You're based on your personality traits. You're a high achiever. You don't even.
Is that type A?
Yeah, type A's.
I'm probably type A.
Type A's are high achievers. They don't deal well with not doing well.
No, I don't. You could probably attest to that. I don't do well with not doing well.
And so, like, I think there's nothing wrong with being a high achiever. And like, I always tell people, I'm a worse loser than I'm a winner. Like, if I win, cool, I won. I ain't gonna say nothing to you. If I lose, do not talk to me. Cause
So you're a sore loser.
I'm a terrible loser. Like, and I don't want my son to be a good winner. I mean, good loser. Like, no, we don't lose. I don't want a participation trophy because we lost. No, thank you. I'm good. Like,
that's not being a team player, though.
No, we can take the trophy, but like, if my son was to take the participation trophy and throw it in the trash, I would not feel no type of way because, like, it's not good enough. Like, yes.
So whose metrics?
No, if it's not good enough for him, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna tell him it's not good enough, but I want to instill in him, like, hey, we want to be excellent at everything we do. If you know you gave it your all, cool. If you know you did not, then we do not. That's not acceptable. Like,
you know what? I semi-fucks with that sort of reasoning of parenting because I feel like that is a Caribbean parenting sort of trait that I feel like my African American side is not the same. Like, the Caribbean in me, the Nigerian and some of my African friends, some of my Indian friends, and even to a certain extent some of my Mexican friends, their parents instilled in them like excellence. And I think us as the African American in me, the black in me, is like, I don't think we as a race do a good enough job at instilling excellence. Or if we instill excellence, the bar is low, but in our mind it may be high. And I think back to when I was living in DC and I was working at the YMCA part-time, and like, this girl was valedictorian of, I think it was Roosevelt High School, I can't even remember. And her goal in life was to be the manager at Foot Locker. And like, I just really wanted her to see like the sky is the limit. But when her mom would come pick her up from the program, like, she was so excited. Like, my baby got a job at Foot Locker. Now my baby about to be head cashier at Foot Locker. And it's like, that's great that her mom wants these steps of progression. But I just feel like the bar of where that child, and I'm not sure where she ended up, could have been so much higher.
I think it's all relative to your experience, right? Like,
that's what I mean by us as a race.
But I don't think it's a race thing. I think it's different pockets of the black community based on each and everyone's experience, right? Like, both of my parents, my mom got her GED after I graduated college. My dad was not a great student in high school, and that was the end all be all. But that wasn't what they pushed on me. My parents pushed on me to go to college. Like, they was like, "You gonna be a lawyer?" Whoop whoop whoop. Like that. There was never an expectation of me like graduating high school and being a manager at a store or nothing. It was like the sky's the limit, right? And I think that has nothing. It has more to do with what you want from your kids, or what you like, the ceiling that you want to put on your children as who you are as a person, versus like what you like. My dad, he told me this probably like 10 years ago. He was like, "I'm so proud of you because all I ever wanted for you was for you to be better than me." And like, my thing was growing up, and I was like, shit, I didn't even know that was what your goal was for me. But like, my goal was, I don't want to have to work as hard as my parents. My parents both had multiple jobs the entire time I was growing up. I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be able to get an education and work in a way where I can do half as much work as y'all and make 10 times as much. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think that's I don't think it's a black race thing, because I see this in every race where like there are people that like put limits on their children because they can't see the vision further ahead. Like, they can't see more than that. Is it more prevalent in our community, in the Black American part of the diaspora? Probably, because we comfortable. Like, we've come here, we've been kind of spoiled in relative to our counterparts in other countries. Relative, in my opinion, relative. Like, do we have bad things that go on here and things like issues? Of course, I would never sit here and say we don't, but we also have peers that are from other countries that come for far less and do far more with what they have.
Which is why it's definitely a sweeping generalization. I attribute it more to a race thing, but we are the black race though. Okay. So race may not be the accurate word for it, but I'm not sure what the accurate word for it is, and
nationality. Probably.
Is it nationality? Is that ethnicity?
Yeah. So the ethnicity.
All this shit is so man-made. I don't know which is which.
Because race is
what I'm trying to say
is a social construct.
What are all social constructs? Except I think ethnicity, right? I don't think ethnicity is a social construct.
Maybe not.
But I'm not sure. History, geography, all that's not my jam. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that there is a stark difference, and this is a generalization, of African Americans and Mexican Americans and
Asian Americans.
No, let me finish. Yeah, Asian Americans, but I won't really include them because I can't speak. I'm not gonna sit on here and speak on a group of people that I really have no interaction with. I don't know a lot of Asian Americans to speak on them, but I do know a lot of Mexican Americans. That's why I say Mexican. Mm-hmm. I don't know a lot of El Salvadorians. I don't know a lot of Guatemalans. Mm-hmm. In terms of American, I don't even know a lot of Dominican Americans, but I do know a lot of Mexican Americans. Okay. So that's what I'm gonna speak on, and I know a lot of Indian Americans. Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to say in terms of minorities, groups of minorities, I think us as African American, in comparison to Caribbean American, Nigerian American, and the other ethnic groups that I named, is that they don't give, I say they, I'm conflicted, they and we didn't give our kids, they didn't give their kids, that's what I'm trying to say, they didn't give their kids a choice. Like, yeah, my Nigerian friends, it was not are you going to go to college? Yeah. It was, they knew like at 8, like I have to go to college.
Right.
I knew, like, I had to go to college. It was never like, do I want to go to college? Do I want to do something else? Do I want to get a trade? Do I want to do hair? I loved doing hair when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I did everybody hair. I braided hair. I was doing all the micros, the kinky twists, making money. Like, that was my jam. I loved doing hair. But I knew I could never go home and be like, I want to go to cosmetology school. And I think cosmetologists make good money and have the potential to be up here 6 figures and more, like hundreds of dollars on a year-to-year basis. But I think the issue with cosmetology is that they don't understand, like, the business and aspect of what they do. Mm-hmm. This is my thought. Mm-hmm. But I still, like, with Black Americans, the exposure to different professions and the day-to-day upbringing in the home, I still stand by, like, I think us as an ethnic group there, we do our families a disservice. But again, a lot of that comes into play with structural racism, opportunities, mm-hmm. And then exposure. Like, I knew since I was 5 years old that I was going to be a doctor. But I knew as a result of tragedy. My mom had MS. Mm-hmm. That was my jam of why. Yeah. I didn't know a doctor. Even when I was in college, I didn't know a doctor. I didn't really get exposure into a doctor until I moved to DC. Mm. I still was very clueless on how to apply what I needed to do. And I had to seek out mentorship. But when you look at the Black American community, we don't have a lot of those. A lot of those, like, that we see on a day-to-day basis, mm-hmm. Are in the music industry. Which nothing is wrong with that, yeah. But we don't see what Black professions look like outside of those spaces, outside of entertainment and sports. Still in 2025, like, even when I, like, open my eyes up and be like, Black doctors, majority of Black doctors are Africans or Caribbeans. Mm-hmm. They're not Black American. Yeah. And which I think is totally different. And I see it when I interact with my patients on a day-to-day basis. They know, like, oh, this is sister right here, and who others are. So I think, like, going back to the family dynamic, and just the influence I want to have on my child, I want to do a lot and keep a lot in the household of the Black community. And have him see representation of those things. Whether it's him at the basketball practice, he's really into science, certain schools. I'm going through that process now of he's at a great school, but the diversity is not where I would like it to be, and trying to find that healthy balance. But it's so hard because we don't have the same exposures and opportunities in Black households that I feel like we have other spaces.
Yeah. I think all that stuff is important, and I definitely appreciate your perspective on that. It's incumbent upon us to expose our kids, and have our families involved in ways that we feel are healthy, or remove them if we don't feel like those experiences are going to be healthy. But yeah, I mean, the Black family dynamic is interesting in the United States because you said there is this diaspora of different Black people and what is allowed. I think some of it is also, like, we have the exposure of you can be whatever you want to be, so you have Black kids pursuing things that their white counterparts are exploring because they can afford to explore that. Like you said, your parents was like, nah, we not doing that. If Ymir wants to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, something that makes money, cool, I'm all for it. If you tell me you want to be a major art, I'm gonna be like, okay, we not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's incumbent as Black parents to make sure that our family dynamic is encouraging, but also has that structure to, like, make sure our kids understand, like, hey, yeah, I want you to be yourself. I want you to be happy, but, like, here's the practicality of this situation. You doing that may not lead to what you think it's going to lead to. So what's your fallback?
Semi agree with that. And here's what I mean by that. I feel that I'm in agreement with you that you're gonna go to college. That's not up for debate with my child or future children. But your degree, if I'm paying for it, it has to yield and make sense. But I will be open to, you mentioned art. I don't know a damn thing about art history or art degree or what art can entail. I do know art sometimes costs millions of dollars. So like, if my child comes to me with a thesis and a plan for what he plans to do with said art degree, I may be open to it. So I will be open to hearing the things that's not the stems right now of what that looks like for him to yield money or business degrees. But I just want him to like do his research and be thoroughly informed.
Yeah, I think from my perspective with the art thing is like there's so many. If you want to pursue art, we don't need to spend 4 years worth of money on it.
I can't say that, and I won't. And I mean no disrespect. I won't be ignorant for me and say that because I don't know.
Well, I know artists, so like my thing is like knowing artists and knowing a bunch of people that are in the space that was not their major in college. Like a lot of the most mainstream or most successful artists never went to school for art. Like my tattoo artist, he went to art school during his apprenticeship, but he majored in engineering. Like he's a civil engineer. He's one of the dopest tattoo artists that I've ever seen, but he didn't go to college and spend 4 years in college majoring in art. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like you can go to an art school, you can go to a trade school or something that is not like, how much is tuition? Like we're not paying $50,000 in tuition for you to go major in art. You can minor in art, you can minor in something else and major in art, but we not just going to college and majoring in art. Like we not spending $50,000 on that. And that's my perspective. Like
I just have to investigate all majors of whatever my child in the future decides he wants to do.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people who graduated with a biology degree and can't do shit with it. I know a lot of people who got PhDs in education and not always do stuff with it. So it's not also about the degree and what you decide to do, but it's like, what is your plan? What does your future look like for you? And I don't know.
No, I feel you on that. I guess you do got to be open to it, whatever, with your kids. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But anyway, I do appreciate you coming on today. I think I learned a little bit about you as far as like how you see your family dynamic being and getting interesting information and just perspective there. And I think we all could stand to kind of have these conversations more with our friends, just to understand. Like, I think a lot of times people see how they're see other people raising their kids, and you don't really understand, or just you interact with somebody and don't really understand like what shaped them as a person and how that black family dynamic impacted them. And so it's always good to have these conversations. But we're gonna wrap today. I appreciate you coming on. As always, guys, wish you peace, patience, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, discernment, health, strength, resolve. Make sure you understand that every choice has a consequence and every action has a reaction. And make sure you like, share, subscribe. Follow me at Hube Knows Best. You want them to follow you on Instagram?
Nope. No. Thanks for having me. No.
And as always, the gate's still open. All right.